Welcome to our blender test today, everyone. Today we're going to be putting up the Vitamix home blender against the 3 horsepower Blendtec HP3A and the Waring 3.5 horsepower commercial blender and the JTC 3 horsepower heavy duty professional blender. Now we're using the Waring and the JTC in 220 volt, which is really meant for overseas use. I get a lot of people that call and ask me about 220 volt blenders because they're traveling overseas and they want to have a good blender, but they don't want to spend $1,000 for one over there. Now the 220 volts that I'm using here today are going to blend exactly the same as the American standard 110 volt blenders that are used here in the United States. Here's how the blender test is going to work. The blend time is going to be approximately 2 minutes and blended on the highest power setting available. We are using exactly 1 pound of carrots cut in about 1 to 1.5 inch pieces. And we're going to pour the blended material through a 1/16 of an inch square mesh strainer. We're going to measure the temperature of the blended mixture at the end of the 2 minutes. We're also going to time how long it takes to pour the blended mixture through the strainer. One important note, and that is, the finer the blend, the better the digestive system is going to absorb it into the bloodstream. Straight liquids are always going to be absorbed better into the bloodstream than any blended foods. Keep in mind that a blender is not a true juice extractor. They are two totally different machines. Now, my personal opinion is everyone in this country really should own a good quality blender and a twin gear juice extractor. Here's a look at some of the items in the test. We have the carrots, the water, and the thermometer. Okay, let's get started. And first up is going to be the Vitamix, followed by the Blendtec, the Waring, and then the JTC blenders. I think you're going to be a little surprised at the outcome. I know I sure was. You're currently looking at the Blendtec HP3A, which does come in 3 different colors, by the way. And then we have the Waring commercial blender, which is 1 color only. And then we move on to the JTC blender, which also is just 1 color. Okay, the temperature of the blended material was about 94 degrees, and it took us about 30 seconds to shake that blend through the strainer. And if you noticed, when we poured the blended material into the strainer, most of it sat there. Not a lot of it went through the mesh without having to be shaken. Okay. Okay, the temperature of the blended material in the Blendtec was about 94 degrees, and it took us less than 10 seconds to get that material through the strainer. If you noticed when we poured that in there, the biggest part of it went through the screen without much trouble at all. Impressive. Okay, that whirring was pretty impressive. The temperature we got on that was about 104 degrees, and it went through the strainer in about 5 or 6 seconds. And I can tell you, most of it went through the strainer without even really having to shake it much. Okay, that concludes the test. Now I want to show you a couple of side-by-side photographs. And in the first one here, we have the wearing on the left side and the Blendtec on the right side. As you can see, there are some differences in texture of the blended material. Next, we have the picture of the Vitamix, which is on the left, and the JTC, which is on the right. And again, we do have some differences there in texture. Now, as far as my conclusions go on this test, I certainly give wearing first place, but not really by much. Since it has the most power, we really expected it to finish near the top. This machine ate through those carrots really quick, and I felt it had the finest blend. Now, Blendtec gets second place, but was pretty impressive for a home blender. The machine blended very well and is a good value for the money, since they do cost less than the wearing and Vitamix. The JTC gets third place, but not by much. We gave it third since we did not have to use a plunger to force the food down into the blades. Vitamix gets last place, but we felt it blended almost as good as a JTC. Now, since this blender costs about $100 more than JTC, and we had to use the plunger, we gave it last place. But this is a brand name that's been around for years, and I know is a reliable blender. Now, we hope you've enjoyed the test here today and learned a lot so you can make a wise choice on blenders yourself. I like to put these tests on because if I was in the market for a good blender, I certainly would be looking for a test like this one to help base my decision on which one to buy. Now, this is Brian with VitalityPlus1.com, and contact us if you're in the need for a blender, and we'll give you some pricing on those. Thanks for watching.